You're entering Corsi Nation.
This is Jerome Corsi. Today it's Monday. It's September 8th, 2025. Thanks for joining us on CorsiNation.com. We're doing podcasts every weekday. You can follow me on X at CorsiJerome1. Also, you can follow me on Substack. It's Jerome Corsi, PhD.substack.com. And we are getting more subscribers at Substack, and I'm appreciative. Thank you very much. Okay, let's go to the first story. Donald Trump showed up at the U.S. Open here in New York, and he got a big applause, which the liberals, of course, their heads exploded because they thought Donald Trump would be booed. You know, this insane New York crowd, which is anti-Trump. No, it's really not anti-Trump. Only the nutcases that are going for this mandami are nutcases. I mean, these are the people who think everybody agrees with them. Nobody agrees with these people. These people are insane, and they don't realize it yet. So here's Trump coming into the U.S. Open. Let's listen to the applause he gets. Go ahead, Chris, play it. And there's Trump acknowledging the crowd. They're giving a fist pump. They're just, really enthusiastic seeing Trump showing up at the U.S. Open. It went on for a good minute or so until they kind of, sat down and pulled it to an end. But it was a very warm reaction. And I think seeing that this is actually New York. The Democratic Party has cheated in so many elections. This is God's five stones. We put this out on our 501c3, and it's our data, thanks to Andrew Paquette, who did the original research finding these algorithms in the state board election databases that permit the creation of millions of false voters who yet get legitimate state ID numbers, and they can be used in mail-in ballot schemes. There you see gods5stones.com. And it's G-O-D, no apostrophe in the S. 5, you spell out the word F-I-V-E. And stones is plural, gods5stones.com. We're also doing Act Blue in the child sex exploitation. There's lots more developing on that every day. And that's getting more and more deeply investigated. We're in spiritual warfare. There's no question about it. And the next story, I think, indicates that, unfortunately, as well as anything. If anybody's wondering whether Pope Francis is LGBT, I think we now can solve that question and answer, that absolutely he's LGBT. So the LGBT decided they were going to have a celebration in this Jubilee year at the Vatican. And so they bring in a rainbow cross to celebrate a pride mass in St. Peter's Basilica. That's disgraceful. Homosexuality is not part of the biblical teachings of, Jesus Christ. And so let's all go have males do what they do at homosexuality. I don't have to detail it for you. It's ugly. Okay, so for the first time in history, a rainbow cross was officially processed into the heart of the Vatican, and hundreds of LGBTQ Catholics attended Mass in St. Peter's Basilica with all these LGBT protests and signs and symbols and holding hands and all the other things these people do. And this was personally, the Pope came out, Pope Leo, who now is clearly LGBT. This is St. Francis Lite. Now he's trying to be cute about it. This is the normalization period, according to Brzezinski, the defector from Russia, who says, okay, after Pope Francis, now we bring in this jerk, this Pope Leo nonsense. And what he does is, oh no, I'm not really Pope Francis. Yet he has them carrying in the rainbow cross. And he encouraged the vice president of the Italian Bishops' Conference, Bishop Francesco Savino, to celebrate with them. Okay, I mean, just take a look, and I think Chris is showing you on the screen the rainbow cross right there. I mean, come on. Jesus Christ did not die so homosexuals can do what they do. And that's, that if they want to celebrate that, let them go off and do that, but don't just desecrate the Catholic Church. And Pope Leo The other disgrace is it's the original Pope Leo, who had the vision during Mass that Satan was taking over the Catholic Church. And he put the Saint Michael Protect Us Against Evil prayer at the end of the Catholic Mass, which Vatican II removed. Okay, so the Catholic Church is now taken over by neo-Marxist, homosexuals, and pedophiles. And if that isn't disgraceful, I don't know what is. And the idea that Pope Leo is going to be Francis Lite is now dispelled entirely. Okay, so that so along with I'm just reading from the article. This is in Protestia, which I guess is at LGBT celebration website, and they've got all the the T-shirts and the rainbow and. Okay, so along with general revelry, they've been attending events specifically geared for the LGBT events on the Vatican official online calendar, including the prayer vigil at the Jesuit Church of Gesù and the Mass at St. Peter's, which appeared under the unassuming title Pilgrim of the Tenda de Giornata Association, Jonathan's Tent, and other associations. And it's all LGBT. And they're all got the rainbow flags. Events are sponsored by Jonathan Tent, an LGBT activist group dedicated to advocating for full acceptance, inclusion, and celebration of the LGBTQ Catholics into the life of the church. It's Jonathan's Tent because they believe Jonathan and David had a homosexual relationship. Okay. And so here the LGBT crowd is coming up into St. Peter's, up the avenue, and they're holding hands, and it's isn't this just lovely? It's disgraceful. So Bishop Savino at the Jubilee event said, it was the year when the land was returned to those from whom it had been taken. The Jubilee was the remission of debts and the liberation of slaves and prisoners. The Jubilee was the time to free the oppressed and restore dignity to those who had been denied it. Brothers and sisters, I say this with emotion. It's the time to restore dignity to everyone, especially those who have been denied it. So all the queers, all the LGBT, all the homosexuals, all the lesbians, all the transgenders, all the bisexuals, all the other, whatever you want to be, necromaniacs, etc., they're now all part of the church under the synodal movement, where the bishops are supposed to reach out to those who are undertrodden. In the meantime, if the LGBT church wants to go that direction, let the LGBT have it. We don't need the Catholic Church if it's going to be controlled by Satan. And I'm going to go back to this as spiritual warfare. And here's Silicon Satan. And next, let's have a pagan mass in the Catholic Church. Why don't we celebrate Satan? Let's go ahead and have a pagan mass. Maybe you could have a snuff sexual exhibit in within St. Peter's Basilica, and film it, podcast it worldwide for the undertrodden snuff lovers. In other words, snuff being a sexual orgy in which someone is actually killed in the sexual excess to heighten everyone's excitement. They make a film of it and circulate it around privately. Murder. Sex with the dead. Why not bestiality? Let's bring in the animals. Bring in the donkeys and whatever else, the sheep and the bestiality. Let's celebrate that. They're also neglected, aren't they? Oh yes, they're part of the Jubilee year. We must celebrate those who are oppressed or not included because they're an ostracized minority. An ostracized minority because their sexual practices are completely bizarre. And if we go that direction, we're back to paganism. And so this is just insanity. Having been raised in the Catholic Church with the Latin Mass, these people are insane. And it is the destruction. The next thing is going to be Catholic Church will be ruined. It'll be found to be involved with the Vatican Bank and all kinds of money laundering scandals. Catholic Church just had lost over $1 billion with Trump cutting off the money from the treasury that was going to the Catholic bishops in order to support illegal immigration. And finally, the roundups are occurring. There was this big roundup in a Hyundai plant, and Donald Trump said, look, if they're here to make batteries, they want to send them over from North Korea to train people, okay, but they're not getting visas, and ICE is coming in and getting a whole bunch of them out of here. Donald Trump is also putting the troops in cities now, and Chicago, I think, is next. They're already boarding up the federal buildings in downtown Chicago, expecting the nutcases in Chicago. And Chicago only has between 10 and 35 or 40 murders a weekend. And the black mayor is going to do nothing. He said, we have to have our democracy here. We don't want the federal troops involved. Yeah, well, your city's a disgrace. And that's time for ICE to come in and get the illegals out of there. I think something like 50% of saw statistics, 50% of the residents in Chicago these days, downtown, I guess, are Mexican. So this is a sanctuary city. Well, Chicago's a disgrace too. And all these Democratic-run cities are not safe, they're not fiscally sound, and they're destructive. And Donald Trump is sending in the troops. Now, there's an article, of course, what the Democrats are saying is, oh, no, the new Democratic script is Trump is sending in the National Guard in order to take over the elections. Okay, so they're trying to scare people. You're going to take control of the ballot box. Okay, now what the Democrats probably don't understand, and Pritzker, by the way, old fatso, is out there on the show, hosted by the former Biden White House press secretary, to amplify this baseless conspiracy mongering. Trump is going to take over the National Guards in order to, it's a smokescreen for the deeper authoritarian agenda to take over the elections. Well, what the Democrats probably understand is that Donald Trump is getting ready to issue an executive order saying that based on what we've done at God's Five Stones, these algorithms in the state databases, Tulsi Gabbard's already said the Chinese had penetrated the computers. So therefore, Trump, who knows who put these algorithms there? Certainly they're intelligence grade in complexity. Just take a look, just read some of the papers on godsfivestones.com, because it's that work. And Andrew Paquette, the genius who figured it out, Donald Trump is going to say an executive order that we're going to have to go to proof of voter ID, proof of citizenship, stop using the computers. The states cannot use these corrupted databases which are inherently criminal. They violate the Help America Vote Act because they have so many false records in them that yet get legitimate state IDs that they're obviously, the Democrats since 1970 have been trying to figure out how to cheat and win elections. If we get Donald Trump under the Article 2 powers of commander-in-chief to come in and say the states must do these things, the states refuse, let the military take over the election and let's have a fair election. Okay, in fact, if the military comes in to demand that the Democrats quit cheating, just like to demand that the Democrats quit destroying the cities, quit releasing criminals who go out and commit more crimes, keep having prosecutors who come before judges who say that murderers can get out on bail without paying any money. Okay, and then they go out and commit more murders, or illegal immigrants. Okay, well, we can't arrest that person. That person's a Venezuelan gang member. He needs to be protected. The Democrats said so. Well, if Donald Trump does get the military to run the elections, and the elections are voted by people who have a legitimate right to vote, the Democrats will lose at least half the seats they have in the House and half the seats they have in the Senate. Without vote cheating, the Democrats would be dead in water. This Democratic Party has become a communist party. It's now a traitorous party. It's a criminal party. It deserves to be charged with treason. These people who are rigging elections are not cute, clever. Some woman registered her dog and voted her dog. Well, she's now under criminal indictment. But she should be under treasonous indictment. That should be a capital crime. She's ruining the election. She's making a mockery of election integrity, just like the LGBT are making a mockery of God. If you haven't seen the LGBT sacrilegious crucifixions or homosexual acts on the cross, then you don't understand what we're talking about. We haven't seen a gay pride event where they're acting out sacrilegiously Jesus being a homosexual, then you don't understand what we're talking about. These people are evil. They're perverted. They're satanic. And so Donald Trump, with the troops in the cities, is going to be applauded by everybody who wants to be able to have their children be safe. Now, Chris, you've got an interesting thing about the Phillies baseball game, and I want to show this because here we got another woman with a Judith Butler haircut. You know, Judith Butler is the one who decided that sex is different than, you know, your gender is different than your sex.
Yeah,
And so
they all seem to have the Judith Butler haircut.
the Judith Butler
Every
haircut.
feminist you know, right?
Every single angry LGBT nutcase I know is going to have a Judith Butler haircut.
Right. I think so. What we should do is have cooler people and people who think like us get a Chris Cordani or Jerome Corsi haircut.
Yeah, let the hair grow, man.
Yeah, we'll be like the Fonzies of politics, right?
Yeah, I mean,
All right, let me get to this
but
video.
this is a woman. This is about a baseball that's in the stands, and it's a free for all to grab the baseball.
Right.
And,
You remember last week the week before, I think. You remember the guy that took the ball from the elderly man during the Mets game?
yes.
Yeah, he was played off as a jerk here too, but this one is just made everybody forget all about him. Let's take a watch. Just watch this closely.
Yeah, so there's a foul ball and it kind of bounces into the stands, and this guy goes over and gets it,
Right.
and he gives it to his son. And this woman just comes up screaming in his face like a nutcase, right, and screaming. It was her ball.
Yep.
And of course, she's got this silver hair layered on top of the black hair, all in this butch haircut.
I mean, she's just angry.
Oh, she's angry. She's just angers, and he says, "Here, take the damn ball. Get out of here." So she walks away with her ball, and she gets booed.
Right.
Well, the Phillies recognize this happens. What, the center fielder who used to play for the Mets?
Yeah, Harrison Bader. See, that's where is he? They were chasing after the ball. Ball's fair game unless somebody catches it. Anyway, yeah. Harrison Bader. First of all, the Phillies gave the kid a bag of swag, if you will, and Harrison Bader presented him in person with a baseball bat, an autographed baseball bat. That was nice. That's a good thing. This is why everybody likes Harrison Bader.
Well, that's why everybody likes baseball. It's not these angry butch women coming around screaming that the baseball belongs to entitlement.
Right, and look, I'm with you on this. This is society. I mean, why? What does it really mean that much to adults anyway to scream when a father gives a foul ball to his son? Didn't even mean that much to the father. When you're 11, 10, 12 years old, yeah, you want to catch that foul ball. That's really important to you. But when you're an adult,
when you're a kid like that, to be given a baseball at a baseball game by your dad is a big deal.
right. Now, the other thing is she yelled at the guy who gave the ball to his son. It's not even like the guy kept it and maybe they found it a way to compromise. You know, I mean, I wouldn't even have thought twice to chase the ball if I didn't have a 12-year-old son. He wanted to get the ball for his kid. So she could have just let it go. I mean, was the ball that important where a kid couldn't have it?
Now, she doesn't care about the kid.
Right. And that's the idea. This is a very selfish society. And
Couldn't care less about the kid.
right.
Okay, well, let's look at a couple more stories here that I think are important. We've got a story which I was very impressed with. It's showing up on the Liberty Daily, and it's John Solomon reporting that the FBI now is investigating. There's this all called prohibited access files, in which, of course, under the Obama and Biden weaponized DOJ, in which the FBI was bending over backwards in order to help anybody who supported Obama or Biden in their crimes, while going after Christians who like the Catholic Mass, were the terrorists. There were files where the agents would write kind of CYA memos saying that, memos to the file. It's an insurance in case wrongdoing is discovered. And then the employees who write these memos have some degree of deniability. And what they're telling on is that FBI employees who are memorializing concerns about the conduct of FBI supervisors or case agents in politically sensitive probes. Of course, the politically sensitive probes are involving Hunter Biden or Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama or any of the others of these Marxist criminals that were getting away with heinous crimes. Hillary Clinton with her foundation, her secret email server, private email server, stealing money through the Clinton Foundation from Haiti when it suffered an earthquake, and then running a child sex operation out of Haiti on the sly, just to enhance their profits. I wrote a book called Partners in Crime about how the Clintons ran this private email server in conjunction with the Clinton Foundation while she was Secretary of State and took money from every criminal oligarch around the world they could find. So the evidence in these files evidently are political scandal, Russiagate, the Obama coup, allegations of the Clinton and Biden family financial corruption, January 6th riot in the Capitol, people still in prison over these issues. Okay, and the critical point in the article is that they are saying that these memos are being brought before federal grand juries. So, for instance, Kash Patel's team recently discovered a document showing then Executive Assistant Director Randall Coleman, FBI, wrote a memo to the file the day before the 2016 presidential election where Donald Trump defeated Hillary Clinton, laying out the unusual behavior of FBI managers after the fresh evidence in Clinton's classified email scandal was discovered on former Congressman Anthony Weiner's laptop in the fall before that election. And the Coleman memo makes it clear that FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe just sat on this for a month on this evidence. And Department of Justice Inspector General Horowitz then 2 years later would excoriate FBI Director Comey and McCabe for their handling of the case. This is what they called the mid-year exam. But what they did was they came out, finally, Comey came out just before the election, said, we have new evidence here on Hillary Clinton that we found in this server from Weiner. And of course, I think that was part of Obama's ploy. Obama, I'm convinced, decided that he could have an extra 2 years in office because at that point in 2016, he was ready to say that Trump was a Russian agent and Hillary had been compromised by her Clinton Foundation and her private email server with evidence found on the Weiner laptop. So Obama could have said neither one of them can be president, referred them both to the FBI for possibly even treasonous investigations, certainly bribery investigations on Hillary's part, and Trump working with Russia as an agent. And so Obama would say, well, I just have to stay in office 2 more years until we get this straightened out and hold a new election. And so it would not have violated the 20th Amendment because Obama at that point would figure that, well, this exceptional circumstance and I didn't win a third term by a vote, so I'll just take 2 extra years. And then he could install Biden or whomever he wanted to install and hold an election. And that was the whole strategy. Then he could be president for 4 years or 8 years of Biden, and he'd have someone in place who was mentally incompetent more so every day. And Obama could run the White House from the dark, behind stage. I think that was the real plan. But what's happening now is that we're getting evidence coming out that from the FBI that documents the politicalization of the FBI and the Department of Justice during the Clinton and Obama and Hillary and all these Democrat criminal treasonous traitors. How in Congress do so many people make millions of dollars? What I was saying, it's not only AOC, it's all of these radicals. Now they're all millionaires. Well, how'd that happen? Best Congress money can buy. And that goes with the Republicans too. I think anybody in Congress who making $1 million has a net worth of several $1 million needs to be criminally investigated for bribery. Okay, so the squad's Omar, had a huge leap in wealth tied to her husband's firm. Isn't she the one married to her brother? Which one's married to Chris? Which one's married to the brother?
That would be Elon Omar.
Elon Omar, married to a
Yes.
brother. How could she marry her brother?
Well, they can lie on the they can lie on the sheet or have their license taken care of in a certain state. No, just kidding. But yeah, I believe they can lie on the marriage license.
Yeah,
and
well,
who's going
maybe
to probe it?
maybe the auto pen could take care of it.
Yeah, there we go. Well, who's going to probe it? This is what this is. It's a highly Democrat area. Minorities want to marry, and which is normally fine. But these are immigrants, and they figured the political powers that be figured, well, let's not look into this. Let's not ask ourselves into something fishy.
Well, John Solomon's got another story that came out saying that months after he refused to charge Hillary Clinton with the 2016 election using a private unauthorized server to transmit classified information, then FBI Director James Comey's inner circle used personal email accounts to further a plan to make an unauthorized disclosure to journalists. Newly declassified memos existed. While investigators in the criminal probe condemned, quote, tropic vortex, because that's their new code word for this operation. They sought permission in 2019 to gain access to those private emails. Federal prosecutors turned them down, according to memos disclosed by FBI Director Kash Patel and declassified for release to Congress by Pam Bondi, Attorney General. U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C. issued a prosecutorial declination decision for tropic vortex. The FBI memo shutting down the probe stated, these are the latest evidence that FBI agents on the front lines had serious concerns about illegal leaks and abuses of classified information involving major figures like Comey, Adam Schiff, and Clinton. And the efforts at investigating were repeatedly thwarted. All these people should go to prison for using classified information, misusing classified information. Hillary included, and Bill Clinton, they were all using classified information for personal gain or to weaponize the Department of Justice against the other side. So Just the News reported last week that agents gathered evidence from Comey's top lieutenants, including former Chief of Staff James Rybicki and ex-FBI General Counsel James Baker, that the former FBI chief authorized the leak of classified information to reporters just before the 2016 election, and no charges were ever filed. The probe was handled by the U.S. Postal Inspector Service, and Connecticut U.S. Attorney John Durham was centered on the leaks and classified information in the New York Times in October 2016, ahead of the November election, which Donald Trump defeated Clinton. Memos don't justify the specific pieces and then specify the specific pieces of classified information that were leaked, or whether Comey or anyone else was authorized to declassify them for the media. But these revelations further validate Trump's decision to fire Comey back in 2017, according to the Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley, Republican of Iowa. Of course, Grassley's not that big a supporter of Trump these days either. At any rate, you've got private email. Rybicki forwarded in 2017 March a communication to his private email address in furtherance of unauthorized disclosure of classified information to journalists directed by Comey. Now, if this is being seriously investigated, all these people are in deep trouble, because the law on classified information use does not require proof of intent. Just the fact that they did it was enough to be a crime. And if that is actually going to be enforced by the Department of Justice, these people are in serious trouble. And quite frankly, I'm hoping that that's the case. We've had just far too much criminality by the Democrats that's excused because they've weaponized the Department of Justice and the intelligence agencies. Okay, so I want to finish here with the economics, because again, this is the first time that I've seen gold is now trading above $3,600 an ounce. Gold today is at $3,631 an ounce, and silver at $41.52 an ounce. Breaking the $3,500 an ounce level was a big deal, because now the technical analysis would be that gold's headed to higher levels. And I'm saying gold's going to reach 4,000 by the end of the year, which is not that far off. I think we're going to start seeing, as we get into the fall, the European economy is starting to completely collapse. And by the way, Trump, on his return from the U.S. Open, did a little presser on the tarmac, and he made it clear the Europeans are coming in pretty soon here now for the UN. He's going to be talking to them, that he has a good feeling that the Ukraine war is going to essentially wind down. He's got a good handle on how it should wind down. You're going to find the European Union is going to be on the verge of breakup for financial reasons of insolvency. And Putin was warning over the weekend that if the Europeans start putting troops in Ukraine, that's going to be a serious escalation. He's going to consider that he's now at war with NATO. He's at least at war with France and Germany and anybody else who wants to put troops on the ground in Ukraine. And I think these countries, they can't afford it. Their troops can't fight. Their armies are inefficient. They haven't been trained. Their weapon systems don't coordinate. Their languages are different. It's a mess. NATO can't fight a war, never could fight a war. NATO has been the United States, and the United States, if Trump pulls out, NATO's dead. If Trump pulls out of the United Nations, it's dead. So, we could make much better use of that prime real estate on the East River in New York. It was now the UN, than having it be this anti-American organization that every year we support with a lot of money. We should quit that. And just like we quit USAID, and now we're finding out the amount of foreign money that was coming into Act Blue. That's going to be the next major set of revelations coming about on Act Blue. While all this seems like we're, completely chaos and dark, I still have great confidence that in the end God always wins, and God's going to win here too. It's a battle. It's a spiritual battle, but I believe. And by the way, go to Swiss America. Just want to make sure you understand you still get this Walking Liberty $50 offer. And if you can't afford gold at $3,600 an ounce, you can afford silver at $41 or $42 an ounce. And silver is going to appreciate as a percentage faster because it's a lower price, and it'll double quicker than something at $3,600 is going to double. And doubling your money is a good idea. Get up to 250 of these coins as a one-time offer. Just start talking to Swiss America. Start educating yourself about gold and silver investing. This is going to be the future. The fiat dollar is a dead duck, and these fiat currencies are on the way out. And there's going to be a fundamental reevaluation of money in the next 20 years. In the end, God always wins. God's going to win here too. And on the spirit of 2 Chronicles 7:14, join me in getting on our knees and asking God to forgive us for letting the country get to this point of moral corruption, and the world as well. And God will hear our prayer and will heal our land. It's Dr. Jerome Corsi. Today is Monday, September 8th, 2025. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow. God bless.